Hey everyone, how is it going? So welcome back to the Caro-Kann. We've been looking at the exchange variation, and there's one more that I really just wanted to dedicate its own video to. This is the most aggressive by far attack by white, the Panov Botvinnik. Is a quick recap of the Caro-Kann. We have the e4, pawn up to c6, this is the Caro-Kann, and normally you'll see them come down with d4, we come up with d5, and the exchange is exchanging the pawns. Now, we've had a little look at, the minor pieces developing, so horsey coming out to the f3, or, coming down with, trying to go for the cheeky little check, things like that. However, the most aggressive by far by white is the Panov Botvinnik, and that is the pawn coming down to the c4. Things can get a little bit spicy, and you do have to be careful within it. As always, if you like this kind of thing, drop it a like, leave a comment if you want to, but the main thing, if you'd subscribe, that would be awesome. We're on the way to 1,000 subs, and, I mean, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? But anyway, let's crack right on. So, it might be tempting to just go ahead and capture. I would very, very much recommend against it. We have the analysis bar on the side, and you can see we are completely even. 0.0, everything is fine. Have a little look what happens when you do go ahead and capture. Whap whap. It is just jumped up 0.5 in white's favour, and there's good reason for that, because the bishop can just come out, take, and just look at how much of the centre that white is now controlling. We have nothing developed, they have a pawn and a minor piece out, and a minor piece in a pretty good position, staring down at this key kind of f7 square. Things aren't fantastic for us. I mean, we can still have an absolutely fine game. It's not the end of the world, but I would recommend very, very much against capturing. And just do a normal kind of developmental move of just bringing out the horsey 2 here onto the f6. This way, we're developing a piece, we're making room for our king to get castled off to safety, and if he was to go ahead and take, we just have that extra layer of defence in there. You're gonna have to excuse my hair. I've been desperate for a haircut for weeks, and it's all poofy. I look like Auntie Susan or something like that, all poofing out. But yeah, we will get past that anyway. So normally what you're going to see from here is them just developing as normally. So coming out with something, not that one, something like this, the c3. That way they are piling on the attack there onto our defence. And we have a couple of moves. We can go for something like the g6, and if we do that, anytime we see that, we know that we're going to be looking at going for the feint kettle and castling off to safety, or we can do something like pushing forwards the e6. It's down to yourself. We'll have a little look at both. I kind of prefer doing the e6, but, every now and then if I'm feeling a little bit spicy, then I will go for the g6 and do the feint kettle. I do quite like having the bishop on this lovely diagonal here, but again, it's down to yourself how you want to play it, and we'll have a little look at both. We'll start with the feint kettle. Let's have a little look. The g6 has been pushed up. Now, you do have to be careful in this position. When you go for it, you're kind of accepting that we're pretty much giving up this pawn. If white plays right, then they're going to come across with the queen onto the b3. And you can just see how much of pressure they're applying onto this pawn, onto the d5 there. Now, we've made room for the feint kettle. Do the feint kettle. So many times I see people go ahead and capture that pawn, and just let's have a little look at that analysis bar there. White 0.2 advantage, nothing to write home about. Soon as they go ahead and capture, boom, straight up to a 1.3 advantage. Because like before, this bishop is coming across, and they now have this absolutely hideous battering ram going on. And there's not really too much we can do about it. We're going to have a really, really rough ride. You might be thinking, well, we can push forwards that e6, and that blocks it. But as soon as they start pushing forward the d5, applying more and more and more pressure. Like I say, this is a super, super aggressive opening. Things are going to get really, really rough for us. I mean, we can go ahead and take. They take back. And then, what do? I mean, we take. He comes down, and we still have this battering ram going on. And there's little we can do. I mean, we can come across and go for the check, but really, all he has to do is just move across to the f1, and then And then what do? You know, like, we have nothing developed. We're having a really, really rough ride. He has these guys out staring at everything. It's so uncomfortable. Yeah, alternatively, we can come across with a bishop, but again, we just end up a pawn down and stuck in this kind of position. And once again, we're having a really, really bad time. He can take, we take back, and then look how exposed everything is. You know, we got a few pieces this side, a few pieces that side. He's going to get castled off to safety. Everything's just so exposed for us. So do not recommend taking that pawn. Like I say, we have made room for the fianchetto, so do the fianchetto. So let's bring it right back to here. We made room for the fianchetto, so we do the fianchetto. And from here, you might just see him just develop as normal. If he does that, get yourself castled off nice and safe there. And then if he goes ahead and takes, then just bring across your horsey to here onto the d7, and we're going to have plans of rerouting it around to here, pairing up everything onto these centre pawns there. Alternatively, you may just see him go ahead and capture straight away in the centre, and our plans are going to be pretty much exactly the same. Get yourself castled off to safety, but now he's brought across the bishop, kind of bringing everything towards the centre, but we're going to have the exact same plan. Bring this guy to here with plans of jumping to here, and then trying to gobble up his very, very strong bishop there. White keeps developing and just gets out his horsey as normal, and like I said before, we are rerouting the guy to here with plans of trying to capture this guy here. So let's just say he goes ahead and, I don't know, he brings across this guy to the g5, just kind of staring down like that, you know, applying a bit more pressure, because we are putting a lot of pressure onto the centre. Don't worry about it, just go right ahead and capture. Then after something like this, we can now push forwards the b6, and our main plan here is going to be getting this guy to here, kind of staring across, getting it on a very, very kind of key diagonal there. And from here, it's fairly straightforward. If he does go ahead and, you know, takes, we can either take back with the bishop, or I prefer taking back with the pawn. Main reason is we're just opening up this. We're looking at bringing across our rook onto the open file there. Loads and pressure on there. We'll be planning on bringing this guy up to here, getting this rook onto the open file, and we're just going to be trying to target these two pawns there. We should have a fairly nice time. Plus, we can push that forward anytime we want to open up this bishop. So he goes off and castles off. We bring this guy across to here, and yep, you can see exactly what our plans are. Fairly straightforward, and black is now at the 0.2 advantage, so happy days. Alright, so we've had a little look at going for the fianchetto there. Let's have a little look at pushing forwards the e6. As a lower level player or newer player, I would definitely recommend this. It's a lot more straightforward. So just say he develops as normal, gets out his horsey, we then just come straight up with that really annoying pin there. Normally you'll just see him go ahead and take, and we have a choice. We can either take with the pawn, or we can take with the horsey. Seems Stockfish prefers taking with the pawn. I kind of prefer taking with the horsey, to be honest. The main reason I like taking with the horsey is just because we're applying a lot more pressure on there. Kind of forces him to make this move, you know, bringing across the bishop to try and block it there, and we can just go and get castled off to safety. If he tries to kick you out of the way, capture with the horsey, and this is where they can kind of mess up. If they take with the pawn, that's probably, well, it's definitely the better move. If they take with the bishop, you can just see analysis bars just jumped up 0.5 in our favour. Fantastic. We take, he takes back, and he now has these pawn islands here. We have some brilliant targets there, and it's fairly straightforward for us from here. We can bring across the queen, targeting this pawn. He then has to, you know, bring the queen down to the d3 to try and block it there, and we can just do something like the b6. With, whoopsie daisy, with plans of bringing, oh my god, with plans of bringing across the bishop onto the b7 there. We'll look at bringing this guy across, get the rooks onto the open files. It'll be very, very straightforward for us, and we'll have a really good game. If instead, once we, whoopsie daisy, if instead he takes with the pawn, obviously we're not going to go and capture because we are completely losing that exchange, so you just slide him right back to here onto the d6 into this lovely commanding position here. And after he does something like just say the bishop out to the d3, we can then just bring across the horsey onto the d7 there. He gets castled off, and we can push forwards the b6 again like before, with plans of bringing this guy to here. And our plans once again are going to be bringing across the queen onto the c7. So we'll be attacking down with a lovely battering ram this way. This guy's going to be here, so we're just going right down the diagonals there, and then just getting these guys into action there. Really, really open kind of game. Loads of diagonal play. We should have a really good time. I mean, the analysis bar's putting it as even, but to be honest, I prefer Black's position here, and I've had some really, really good games here. But yeah, that is essentially that. There is a quick funny line that I do want to show you. You might not see it, but it's when we come across for the pin. He comes down with the pawn to the a3, and we go ahead and we do the exchange there. Once we've done the exchange, we can just go get castled off nice and safe, and you may just see him go ahead and take. In this case, definitely take with a pawn. If you go ahead and take with a horsey, then he's just going to push that down. We have to move out of the way, and it's just a bit more uncomfortable. Makes more sense just go right ahead, capturing with a pawn, and opening up this file there. He goes and moves the bishop out of the way, just so you can try and get castled off to safety, and we come across with the check. Now, what you'll probably see is, you know, something like the bishop coming across to here, and, you know, it just plays out very, very normal. You know, we come across for the pin, he goes and gets castled off, and we just develop as normal, and we'll be bringing that guy across to there, pushing that forwards, just all that kind of good stuff. However, there's a really funny line where he comes down with the horsey to here. Now, you're probably not going to see this, but if you do, it's such a wild line that I just had to show it. Whoopsie daisy, what have I gone ahead and done there? So what we're going to start doing is just applying the pressure to the centre. So just bring across your horsey to the d7. Clearly he can't go ahead and take because he is currently pinned. So really his best move is bringing across the bishop onto here, onto the f4 as an extra layer of defence. Main reason he's doing that and not just say getting castled off is because we are going to win that exchange and we're now a pawn up. So it makes more sense for him to come across with the bishop to add in the extra layer of defence. And this is where things get a little bit wild. What we're going to do is hop up the horsey to here onto the g4. Now, you might be thinking that the queen can just come across and just take, but oh dear, look at that analysis bar. It is just hopped up 3.8 in our favour. I'll show you why in a second. I mean, if he instead just tries to kick you out of the way, then we're just going to take. He takes, just same with this, and we can either bring across the queen to here, threaten him, clearly can't take because of this, or we can just go ahead and win the exchange like so. We're going to have a wonderful time there. But anyway, let's just say he does come across with the queen. Main reason it's hopped up so much in our favour is because we can jump up and take that horsey. He can't do anything about it. We've just gone and gobbled up that free horsey. If he goes ahead and takes, clearly we're just going to take the queen and win the game there. So what he needs to do instead is to really move the queen out of the way, or Stockfish recommends him coming down and capturing that pawn. Probably just so he is kind of getting an additional something out of the exchange. Now, we're just going to move the king out of the way, clearly. And we are still threatening all kinds of shenanigans here. So the queen has to move out of the way. We can now jump down the horsey to here onto the g6 and get the discovered check. He can't do anything about it, so he has to move the king out of the way. So let's just say he comes to somewhere like here on the d2. We can now go nom 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 and gobble up that bishop. He takes back, king comes up and then takes the other bishop. We are now a 4 advantage and we have completely won the game. We have totally won that exchange there. And this queen isn't doing anything. It looks like the king's exposed, but I mean, it's not like the queen can, you know, move anywhere to try and do anything about it. We're completely safe there, and all we have to do is just hop back that king anytime we want anyway. We have command of the open file there. We'll be getting this guy out if we want. We can come across like that, push that forwards, go for something like that. You do what you want, really. You know, we'd want to try and get the rook onto the other open file, but it's such a dominating position. We have a minor piece up, and we're just going to completely win. White should resign, but they might not, and if they don't, you're just going to dominate. So there we have the Panov Botvinnik. It's a bit of a wild ride. Things can get a little bit spicy. It's super aggressive by white, but like I say, as long as you're careful, then you should have an okay time. I hope you found it helpful. If you want to check out the previous video, which looked at the horsey coming out to here, by all means check it out. I'm sure there'll either be a linky card above, or there'll be a, you know, one of those card things for you to click on the side, or if you just want to see the one about the basics of the Caro-Kann, I've got that as well somewhere, so that'll, I don't know, probably come up on screen or something like that. You dudes go off, have some fun, play some chess, and I will catch you all later.